Thanks once again. Thanks for joining us back here in the hall. I hope you had a good lunch and you're ready to go for the next couple of sessions. The first one of which, I'll just remind you, picks up from where we left off before lunch, which was the announcement we had from Kadir on an extraordinary racing racecourse complex. And we're going to build now on where the equestrian world fits into the Saudi 2030 vision. So to do that, we have 4 absolute specialists in this field, and I'd like to invite all of them to come up and join me on stage at the same time. That is Tim Hadaway, who is the Equestrian Development Executive Director of the sports sector at Al Ula in Saudi. Please come on up, guys, all of you. Tony Partridge, Executive Director for Sports and Wellness at Diriyah Company. Tony Matthews, who is Chief Delivery Officer at the Sports Boulevard Foundation. And Mark Hewitt. Mark is the Executive Director, Head of Racecourse at Kadir Investment Company. Thank you very much, chaps. So really this is a chance to see how you all embed within the vision and perhaps embed among yourselves as well in terms of an equestrian and race offer within Saudi. Tim, I'm going to start with you because you're the only one who's not of the neighbourhood, if I could put it that way. So when we're talking about Al Ula, give us a quick geographical fix as to where you are from.
Okay, it's good to be here. Thank you, David. Al Ula is absolutely not a neighbourhood. It's right up in the northwest of the kingdom, up towards the Red Sea, up towards the border with Jordan, actually. It's about 2 hours inland from the Red Sea. It's a beautiful part of the world, stunning, really quite unique, and maybe I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Nearest city would be the best part of 3 to 4 hours away, Medina to the south, Tabuk to the north. So it really is, it's quite a different part of the world, but a very, very beautiful one.
Right, so give us a sense then as where equestrian and horse racing generally is going to fit into the future of the region in terms of economics, not least, but also social community offer, which of course is critical to the vision.
Yeah, I think very much rooted in the cultural heritage link between the Arabian horse and this part of the world. The horse is really at the heart, really one of the key strategic pillars of the Al Ula project, a project which is really there as part of Vision 2030 to drive economic development and diversity, to really develop tourism, to showcase this part of the kingdom to the world and welcome the world to this part of the kingdom. So the horse is very much part of that vision, using the horse, using equestrianism to play its part in promoting Al Ula to the world and bringing people there through a horse-related activity. I'm pleased to say it's actually already well and truly up and running. The project's been running for the best part of 5 or 6 years now. We have some facilities already. We have a competition facility that caters primarily to, at the moment, polo. We host a polo tournament once a year. We run a lot of endurance competitions, FEI endurance competitions. And the reason for that is back to the Arabian horse, really, because for those of you who maybe don't know that sport so well, the Arabian horse and the Arabian horse bloodlines are really embedded in the endurance horse for probably quite obvious reasons. They really thrive in that environment and over these longer distances. That combined with the spectacular landscape we have in Al Ula really combines to make it the most perfect location. So we have endurance competitions. We had our first show jumping competition ever in these last few weeks, and as I say, a polo tournament once a year. But beyond that, we have a much bigger vision, and we're moving towards developing a much bigger equestrian village facility that will cater for multiple disciplines: show jumping, dressage, new polo facilities, new endurance facilities, and of course a race course development as well.
I can see why that has a major economic impact when it all comes together. What about the social impact? What is the sort of offer to the community?
Yeah, and that's a key part of it as well. There's a very passionate local equestrian community, and part of our work is to really develop and support equestrianism through that community to help to improve the standards of welfare, horse care and management, the stables themselves, implement veterinary services. So there weren't until recently, very recently, we didn't even have specialist equestrian veterinary services. So that really was the level we're at. So we're really building that solid ecosystem to really enable the equestrian activity to thrive, and reaching out to the local community beyond equestrianism as well. We had a lovely a program that we ran during our recent season. We've just run 6 events, I think, in the last 10 weeks, show jumping, polo, endurance, just finishing on Sunday. And as part of that, we've invited members of the community, particularly school groups, groups of students from local universities, groups from the local sports clubs, often quite young children coming along. We teach them about equestrian sport, get them up close to the horses. We had a lovely session actually with the professional polo players we had, and they did a wonderful job of talking to the children. And in fact, some of the children had an opportunity to get on the horses for the first time. And as we all know, those of us who've been involved with horses for our lives, you know, their faces lit up, and they suddenly could see this is something they had never been exposed to before. And our job now is to really capitalize on that. And one of our constructions that we're in the middle of, we hopefully in the next couple of months or so will complete our first equestrian center, which will give us 60 stables, a small training facility, and we'll set up our first riding school. So suddenly we can go from inspiring that child who came to that polo tournament just a few weeks ago and give them an opportunity to come back, hopefully in a few months' time, and actually learn how to ride and begin their journey in equestrianism.
Right. Sounds very positive. I know you said that you'd had some 30-odd horses for an endurance competition recently coming into the area. How international is this proposition?
It's very big already. We have the tournament we had, the competition we had at the weekend is the world's most prestigious endurance competition, the Alpha-San Endurance Alula competition. It is has the highest participation. We think we hit a world record at the weekend. We had 70 competing nations represented at this event. We had 300 horses. The 30 you referred to were just the 30 that we flew into Alula International Airport on a Boeing 747, and they came with their European riders. So it's a very big competition, and that was broadcast around the world. So we're already, hopefully, having a big impact in promoting Alula, contributing to the local economy, and really driving the project forward in this way.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for that. Tony, let me come to you and to Diriyah, a bit closer to home. Already a destination. It already has that mark about it. Where does equestrian fit into that then?
Yeah, so for those who are not familiar with Diriyah, if you look about 10 kilometres from here and you see 80 tower cranes in the horizon, that's us. It's a 14 square kilometre development that is centred around the UNESCO World Heritage at Taref site. That's Diriyah itself, and then we have Wadi Safar, which is further west again, 60 square kilometres, which is our resort community. Equestrian is very much under development, but it's also part of the fabric of Diriyah. So at Taref and Diriyah is the premier cultural destination of Saudi Arabia and the birthplace of the modern Saudi nation. And it is where the leaders of this country would conduct diplomacy and trade and defence, and it would rely on horsemanship, absolutely. So we celebrate that cultural heritage. We have an Arabian horse gallery at Taref that I would encourage you to go and visit. I know you've got a social event on Wednesday night at Bab Salman Hotel, which is our first hotel that we opened. Please go for a walk to at Taref. Please go for a walk to Bajeri Terrace. Immerse yourself in Saudi culture, speak to the Saudis, speak to the entertainers. It truly is a unique experience. So there's a plug for Wednesday night. In terms of assets under development, we have the Royal Polo and Equestrian Club at Wadi Safar, which will be complete at the end of this year. That equestrian club has 2 international-sized polo fields, 4 equestrian arenas, indoor arena, 260 stables, 1,000-metre training track. It is for the residents of Wadi Safar, but there will also be limited external memberships. But importantly, it's an academy, so it's where riding will be encouraged, and hopefully future gold medalists for Saudi will come out of this facility. It actually achieves the same objectives that Diriyah as a development is trying to achieve, and that is building world-class infrastructure, promoting luxury and lifestyle experiences, selling real estate, obviously, but it's also about only one piece. The development is only one piece of the ecosystem that we're looking to build here, and like Tim is doing at Alula, we're not just building these facilities, we're working on how they're going to be busy forever, and how there will be grassroots participation in these sports. We have schools, we have a sports club, we have elite riding academies, and there are pathways all the way through to elite sport in either equestrian or polo. So it's a very considered ecosystem, the PIF ecosystem, and then the National Sports Strategy ecosystem that dovetails into what we're doing as developers, that I believe is making Saudi be at the forefront of investment in equestrianism that will grow the sports globally and interest globally.
But it feels also that you've got perhaps more of a handle on the cultural appeal and importance of the horse within the Saudi culture, the Saudi society, with a museum, with ceremonial horses. Would that be a fair
absolutely. So we have Durea season events, and some of our events you can actually turn up and ride a horse. There's one on this evening. We have 17 kilometres of horse riding trails within Wadi Hanifa and Wadi Safar. The horse is simply normalised in our developments because it's always been a part of Saudi culture. And we celebrate that, and it's not an add-on, it's just part and parcel of Saudi life. There are ceremonial horses, and of course the Arabian horse is an icon, and we teach that to visitors, but we don't have to teach it to the Saudis. They love their horses, and the horse element of Durea will keep people coming back and get them to go to school there, get them to train there, and eventually, whether it's racing at Qadiyah or whether it's equestrian at Alula or at Durea, it will be recognised as the best place in the world to ply your craft.
Okay, thank you very much for the moment. Mark, let me come to you. We heard about the Qadiyah announcement. I suppose the question is, where does the equine side of things fit into what is a substantially bigger project than just that? It's a similar question, but perhaps you could give us the Qadiyah answer to that.
Yeah, look, it's hugely exciting what's been announced today. We're absolutely delighted to be able to share that with people now. There's been a lot of hard work that's gone into that over the last 18 months, so it's nice to do a bit of a show and tell just for people to see what we've been doing. I think if I talk to the wider district within Qadiyah, we have an equestrian district that is based around the racecourse. There's been a lot of emphasis on creating a strong connection and integration between those residents that live in that district and the horses. We have hacking trails, dedicated bridleways that weave their way through that residential offering. There's also livery, a proposition, other equestrian-based assets that residents and visitors are able to have that hands-on experience, that destination-based experience that we want them to have. And it adds a very unique dynamic to that district within Qadiyah.
Right, because I think you've answered part of what my next question was going to be, was what is the sort of unique selling point of the horse in that? But maybe you've talked about the trails.
I think for me it's that connection between and the relationship between the horse and rider and what that means to the people. The relationship is based on trust predominantly. It's based on social, emotional, physical interaction between horse and rider. Horses are social, empathetic herd animals that have an ability to pick up on human emotions, and we've tried to play on that, and that's why they're used in therapeutic ways throughout our industry. I think the communication for me between the horse and rider becomes super important, and different methods of alignment can lead to special outcomes, as we know from the racing industry, what can be achieved. I think the healthy relationship that the industry has with recognising the horse's individualism and intelligence, rather than just treating them as tools of work and sport, is critical. I look at other sports and there's a strong emphasis on the individual, or the individual strength and the individual skill set, or the team skill set and the team strength. And I think the horse really brings something exceptional and distinctive in that competitive environment and to sport.
Thank you very much, Mike. Tony, Sports Boulevard, you described as it's a public active lifestyle spine for Riyadh. So obviously that brings a huge amount into play, and that wellness message seems to come through pretty strongly there as well. Quality of life, critically important, as much as diversifying the economy and the like. So again, where do these issues of equestrian and sports assets inside the realm of these huge projects, these Giga-Projects as they're called, where do they contribute to those elements, the community well-being? Where's the point of difference for you?
Yeah, okay, thanks. So, as you say, Sports Boulevard is very unique. We are a spine running west to east, right through the city, regenerating an existing utility corridor and creating an incredible linear park, which provides a lot of sporting and provisions to the communities and to the city. Part of that is embracing the community needs as we develop progressively. Obviously, we can't do all this in one go. We need to clear the corridor as we go through. And in doing so, we're actually seeing the feedback now from the communities. We had a good year last year. We opened up a number of our assets to overwhelming response, to be honest, from the community. So, the use of the cycling tracks, the equestrian, the sporting activations. We opened a promenade mid last year, 2 kilometers of family and sporting activation space. And we received 1 million visitors in the first 4 weeks. It's just, this is what Riyadh wants. And I think all the way across the panel as well, there's a real need to provide what the community is looking for. And it's sporting, it's equestrian, it's feeding that back into this very dynamic city.
And obviously this is all within the remit of Vision 2030. What is it primarily that the government is looking for from you? What is the most important aspect of what you're doing here, what you're driving? Or is that actually not quite the right question? Because you'll probably say a bit of everything: economics, community, well-being.
Our mandate was very clear. We are to provide grassroots sports. Our mission is for the residents of Riyadh. This isn't grandstanding. This is about providing clear access to the massive communities that we touch. As we go west to east through the city, it's very congested. Riyadh is a very busy place, and what Riyadh needs is these green belts, this space where we can bring families in, give them an opportunity to try new sports, try something they've not tried. We range from equestrian, cycling, all the way through to indoor skydiving, rock climbing, as we progress through. And so our mandate was clear, it's for the city, it's for the people.
Same question to you really, Mark. What is the sort of, is there a single driving force behind what you're doing?
I think for me, you talk about government, what are the government expectations when they invest in these major projects? I mean, fundamentally, they're looking at creating economic stability and economic growth, to increase equity, increase demand, job creation, sustainability targets, and improving that infrastructure and the utility base that's there. And these developments are all based around a core asset use, residential, education, sport, retail. But at that next layer down, where we come into play in terms of that developer world, that's where we get to put our mandate on it and to develop that public realm space and that sense of place and the amenity spaces. And that's where that social cohesion happens, and that's what makes or breaks these projects. So that's at the forefront of what we're doing. Excuse me. So look, at Qiddiya City, we're embracing the power of play, as you saw earlier. New residential and social communities of 500,000 residents, 200,000 jobs are being created in tourism, hospitality, education, sports and entertainment. We've got multi-use stadiums. We have e-gaming and e-sports, which was a Vision 2030 growth sector that was identified. Championship golf courses, motorsport race track, there's the Aqua Arabia, the region's largest water park. And then we have obviously Six Flags, which opened in December last year. So on the back of that, we're trying to create this social skill-driven ecosystem that isn't just an entertainment destination. So that's the challenge for us. On a micro level, when I look at what we're doing in the race course, we aren't just building another race course. You know, the bar's been set very high for us. It's a unique opportunity to really set the standard for global racing through our customer experience and our racing product and how we take that to market. The world's very different now to what it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. People's expectations have raised and how they want to receive information and data, and that's a constant challenge that we're having to adapt to and make sure that when the venue becomes live, that we're ready for that and we're giving the people what they want. Look, it's a wonderful opportunity, but it comes with a huge responsibility to get it right.
Absolutely, big challenge. But you painted a picture there where racing, equestrianism is clearly very much a part of that family that's going on in your development. But it's not all about the horse, clearly. It's about so much more than that. Tony, it's a similar question for you, really. You've given us some of the real cultural value that the horse brings. So is it a sort of, does it have more of a dominant role in Diriyah?
It certainly ticks all the boxes. So it's a one-stop shop. It's one of those sports that is one of 3 tier 1 sports for that reason. You know, first and foremost, though, our contribution to Vision 2030 is by being a symbol of national heritage and also tourism. You know, we're looking to attract 50 million annual visits, but that could include people who work and reside there, but mostly tourists. You know, 50 million people annually is the target. That's a huge contribution to Vision 2030. And the third element is just in terms of being a role model for urban development, like this is cultural authenticity mixed with contemporary living. You know, we're building a walking city using Najdi architecture, which is, you know, mud brick, beautiful doors, small windows, narrow passageways, and all of the infrastructure is subterranean. You know, down 5 or 6 levels, all the car parking, all the roads subterranean in our Diriyah 1 master plan. So this is recreation, it's walkability, it's health, happiness. These are all key metrics of Vision 2030. And you can do, you know, so much within Diriyah just walking, but you could also do it on a horse. You know, you can jump on a trail, you can go do your training, you can train to be a champion, or you can just buy a home that overlooks a beautiful polo field. So it's an extension rather than a dominant part of what we're doing, contributing to Vision 2030.
Very well explained. Thank you for that. Tim, you talked earlier about youngsters being enthused by what you're doing, what you're putting together, coming and seeing it for themselves. Is there a strategic approach towards winning over that next generation, winning over that younger demographic?
Yeah, very much so. We actually introduced a rider development program focused around endurance at this stage, because for the reasons I've said, that's been very much a key driver of the development that we've seen so far. But to provide some of the better selected local riders with an opportunity potentially to be supported, to develop as athletes, to develop their horses as athletes, to a point where potentially they could be selected for the World Championship that we'll actually host in Alula at the end of this year, in November of this year. And those riders have come through that program, and they are on the verge of being at that level. I think our challenge now, though, and in fact the project we're beginning to work on already, is how we begin to expand that program. Because those of you many of you will have been involved with athlete development programs, it's very much about building that really strong pyramid of performance, where you've got a really strong, solid base underpinning the development, so that you're ultimately the top of your pyramid is as strong as it can be, and can ultimately go out to World Championship, Olympic level, and win medals. So I think that's our next challenge. So far the program's been pretty focused around a relatively small number of individuals, but through providing that inspiration I mentioned earlier, getting them involved with riding, all being well in the next few months when we get that riding school up and running, that is about building that solid base, and it's a long-term, absolutely a long-term strategic approach to this.
There's so much here in terms of equestrianism, and some of it cuts across each of you in your areas. In a little bit of a snapshot, because I suspect I know the answer, but are you in competition in any sense? I mean, are you all up against each other to put equestrianism at the heart of the best destination or whatever it might be? Very quickly, Tim.
No, quite the opposite. I think we are, and in fact, I think we're beginning to work month by month, increasingly effectively together. I think we're much more engaged with each other's projects and aware of each other's projects than I think we were even when I arrived in the kingdom about a year and a half ago. So for me, absolutely not. It has to be a priority that we're working together, looking at what the ecosystem needs across the kingdom, and to provide that really strong infrastructure, that really strong development that ultimately is going to see the kingdom succeed on the international stage.
Shake your head if you disagree with him. I think you'll all agree. We'll save time on the
We actually all talk and
We'll
collaborate.
save time from the I agree with Tim response. And I do that partly because, look, thank you very much indeed. It's an eye-opener for I think probably almost all of us here, to just the extent to which you are working on these things and embedding equestrianism and racing in it. But Tim, I think you've actually got an illustration for us to close us out from the World Champs, a video to play?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we're very honoured to be hosting the FEI Endurance World Championship this year. I think that's acknowledgement of the journey Alula has already been through and where we've got to. And it'll be the first ever FEI World Championships that has come to the kingdom. Gives an amazing opportunity to showcase not just Alula, but the kingdom, Saudi Arabia, and everything that is being developed in equestrian sport. So hopefully this video will just give you a little bit of a flavour.
We can play that video, I think.
In 2026, the FEI Endurance World Championship will happen here in Alula. A huge event, 200 athletes from around the world, 70 countries represented. There'll be 4,000 guests. The world's media will also be coming here to showcase everything that event is about and everything that Alula is about.
This World Championship for Endurance is really the pinnacle of this discipline. It really shows that we are becoming a really credible actor on the endurance and on the equestrian scenes. It's also a big responsibility for us, and it's making sure that we will be ready.
As you know, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is always looking for the best, always looking for the highest standard for every event. And for us, we promise that 2026 will be a unique edition of Endurance Championship. Of course, we will have the best riders, best horses from all over the world.
Al-Ula is a special place and you need quality horses. It's not easy to win in here.
The uniqueness of the course for the World Championship will be something really not seen anywhere else before. We've come from Montpazier 2024, where it was a typical French countryside landscape, and now we are going back to the desert.
What makes Alula so special for me is the landscape. The track is the most special that I rode in my life. And for next year, we are looking forward for the World Cup.
This race is really more challenging because it's very different. Like you have deep sand, you have part who is more technical, and as a rider, you always have to be careful and to be listening to your horse.
This place, it's one of the best places for the endurance. Next year, we will have a good race.
First of all, it'll be the biggest sporting event that will have come to Alula. That event coming here, it says so much for what has already been achieved here in Alula. What it does for us is give us the opportunity to show to that world what we can do, where we are, what this place means, where we're going in the future.
Some might be skeptical, some might be also judgmental, but we will be ready.
Every rider who will participate will never forget this edition.
The eyes of the world will be on Saudi Arabia.
Great. Thank you very much indeed.